So we're here at Modiphius Games' stand at UK Games Expo 2024 with a secret but not really secret project. It's like available, but we can't show it quite yet, and we're very excited about it because this is one of my favourite video games that's ever been made, especially Mass Effect 2. And we're talking about Mass Effect, obviously. Chris, Eric, tremendous project. We're here with Chris, owner, top dogs, co-owner
my
of
wife Rita.
Of Modiphius,
Yeah.
and Mr. Eric Lang, designer of Mass Effect.
Hello.
Hello.
Co-designer, actually.
Yes.
Co-designer.
So.
My co-designer, Calvin, is the world's biggest Mass Effect fan, and he'll fight anyone.
He'll fight anyone for it.
That's right.
That's entirely fair. So let's talk about Mass Effect. Firstly, how did the opportunity come around to get the license? And in terms of turning that into a board game, what was that process like?
Well, I've been talking to BioWare since I was a T-shirt designer, funnily enough.
Okay.
About probably 15 years ago. We would talk, and I'd see them at shows and be like, hey, are you up for doing something? And they were like, no, not yet. And then we became a board games company, and I gave up the world of fashion and started pitching them. And so how about board games or role-playing game? And it was still, nah, don't have enough time. Anyway, cut a long story short, the new person turned out to be a big board game fan. We pitched the idea of some miniatures. And then we had a magic meeting at a show called Gamma, which is a big tabletop gaming trade show, with Eric and Asmodee. And we came up with this great idea for really much a stripped-down dungeon crawl adventure game that was much more accessible, much cheaper, not a $150, $200
miniatures heavy, whatever.
massive thing that you need a forklift truck for.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all started. And BioWare loved the idea. And we're like, and they're a big fan of Eric's, so that helped.
That helps.
And here we are.
And then here we are. And Eric, how did?
Hi.
Yeah, hello. So, how did your involvement come about then? And what was the design philosophy, I guess, around Mass Effect?
Sure. Yeah. So, well, Chris told the origins. That's exactly what happened. I mean, we had I'm very picky about the licenses I work on.
Okay.
But we've been looking for an excuse to work together for a long time, and Mass Effect was it. I mean, it was a bucket list item.
Okay.
Now, here's the funny thing. I'm a fan of Mass Effect, but I'm not the deepest fan. Right?
Okay.
I have a profound respect for the game.
Yeah.
I haven't played every second of all three games, but I've played it. But I have a good friend and co-designer, Calvin, who is the world's biggest fan.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would love to do this, but I want to work with Calvin on this.
Like someone that knows it inside out, kind of thing. Yeah.
So we had a great duality. So my job in every licensed game, no matter what it is, I want to be the person who makes sure that it is approachable for everybody, not just the deep cuts, right? So that was my role, and I got to step back even a little further in this, just to make sure that to sort of goaltend make sure we hit all the tropes. The idea came from, I mean, honestly, I think even in the room we came up with, like, I was like, cool, Mass Effect's a single player game. You play Shepard, right? Yeah. But the NPCs, like your squad mates, those are the characters everybody fell in love with, right?
It brings life to the whole thing, right? Yeah.
So I'm like, well, players should be those characters.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what BioWare fell in love with. And so so then I brought Calvin on board, and we went for this game so we wanted to go, there's two pillars that Mass Effect stands on, right? Number one, it's got really cool, interesting squad-based combat, right? The video game's real time. We wanted to do a tactics game so that you could basically get all the depth of it, but have the time to think about it, right? And have a new experience. The second is the big one, right? And Mass Effect was the game that pioneered the idea that your choices matter.
Yeah.
Right? That was every game that in the history of RPGs has been influenced by Mass Effect on that. So we want to capture that in the most accessible format possible. Mm-hmm. So this is it's a campaign game for an audience that doesn't have the time to play like 1,000 hours of campaign. Yeah. You can play a campaign in an evening, but also that isn't. But the choices you make in each session do profoundly affect the future choices that you make.
Nice.
We want to make it very accessible, very and very intuitive.
Yeah.
I don't know how much detail I'm allowed to go into, but it's.
Chris, will quickly just grab the mic as necessary.
I could talk about this forever.
Cool.
But we had the vision for this. Like, I'm a vision guy, right?
Yeah.
So like we had the vision for this very quickly. Honestly, I don't know how much the vision has changed since that very initial meeting. It was pretty rock solid.
Nice.
I mean, we've kind of refined the mechanics down, streamlined it.
That's right.
But you've kept the same elegant idea that it's effectively 3 main missions that, because it's a branching storyline, could be completely different every time you play.
Nice.
And then there's also, you can make those Paragon and Renegade choices that are so important in a massive video game, and those have an impact on the game.
That's right, and we want to capture the feel of them, right? So it's not like Paragon and Renegade. The cool thing about them in the Mass Effect universe, it's not good guys, bad guys. It's straightforward choice, slightly harder choice, right? And so we want to capture that flavor. And
so what means do you get to the end?
Right, exactly
means,
right.
Yeah,
exactly right. And the choices that you make actually affect, not only they affect how you progress in the story, and they unlock different choices for you.
Can we go? I know we won't see it because we're not doing the video today. We'll put this on the podcast. But I'm going to, I wish we could. We've been told not to. We've been banned. No videos. But I'm going to have a little wander around. Is it all right to show us a couple of elements of the game? And so fantastic. Okay, cool.
Sure.
So, what might the game flow look like? And like I say, we're not playing as Shepard, we're playing as the team, right?
Well, you're playing as Shepard and the team. Shepard must be in the game.
Shepard must be.
So it's a 1 to 4 player game. One player must play Shepard, and anybody else can choose any number of the other characters that they want.
Cool.
You can't have all the characters. You can only pick a limited number of them. So you've got more choices of characters. So the choice of characters is going to have an effect on the tactical choices you'll have in the game. And then you have a large number of upgrades for each character, but you won't be able to pick them all during the campaign. So again, the choices you make will affect what you can and can't do in the game.
Right. Yeah. We one of my proudest accomplishments is how we took the complicated skill trees of Mass Effect and we put it on a single sheet, but we want to capture we captured the highlights. What are the different subclasses for all intents and purposes that each character can play without getting into too much of the back end of it. So we just capture the feeling of each one. But you're asking about moment-to-moment gameplay, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a flow,
So it is fully co-op, right? Because it's Mass Effect, right? There's no intrigue or anything like that. Fully co-op, you succeed a mission or you fail. But the moment-to-moment gameplay, I'm looking at a gorgeous set of custom dice in the center.
We love some custom dice.
And so it's got a pretty cool dice system. I don't stop me if I'm talking too much about it. But so each round of gameplay. So there's a storybook in the middle where you guys are going to go from mission to mission, and it's got a map on one side and mission parameters on the other. Each round you're going to roll a set of these dice, right? Mm-hmm. And then each player, one at a time, is going to choose. That gives you the full range of actions that the entire group is allowed to take. And then each player is going to select from that action pool, taking away from other players, which action you're going to take. Everything else is deterministic. So you're not rolling it's all what I call input randomness, right?
Okay.
You're once you see that, you know how much damage you're going to do, that's fixed. Yeah. You know what range you have, that's fixed. But the action pool is what's dynamic. So you guys are going to have to discuss between each other. Now, after you roll the dice, you're going to take what you want, and then pass a die on to another player, and then re-roll the rest of them.
Okay.
So it's not like you're not right. So you're making choices based on a little bit of risk analysis as well.
Yeah.
Right. What do I want to take now as a sure thing?
And what am I happy to kind of
do
re-roll?
A little bit of odds calculation at the end. Save a die for other players.
Yeah.
That's the very basic flow, right? And then, of course, the main thing you're looking at, eyes on the prize. You're looking at the mission, right? You're going to have on each mission you have objectives.
There's
going to be there's straight up objectives that you have to just get through to the next stage, but then there's a Paragon ending or a Renegade ending.
Oh, cool.
So you'll choose which one you want. They're mutually exclusive. You can only do one of the two endings.
Are we going to do this in a Paragon way or a Renegade way?
And they dovetail on each other, right?
Oh, nice.
And you can choose it on the fly. You can work through, then decide, God, you don't have to choose the beginning, but you can choose it as you're playing.
Yeah.
And then there are side missions that get you more experience.
And you can fail the mission as well.
You can fail a mission, absolutely. So if you can, there are multiple endings to the story in this game. One of them is a bad ending if you fail too many missions, right? But most of them are just, now I'm at risk of saying too much, but let's just say there's a single sheet that shows you what the mission looks like. It's visual and it's very intuitive.
Uh-huh.
So you look at it and you're like, oh, cool. Like you can look at that and it gives you a little bit of a hint about what to expect, right, going in. But you're deciding what ahead of time, like how are we going to proceed through the mission?
Will you then get to pick? Do you get to look at that and then pick your characters and then pick your loadout, or is
You pick one set of characters for the entire campaign.
over the whole and that's it? And you, you do the
Right.
Cool.
We're showing a campaign tracker,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
which you'll be able to pick one of 3 missions to start, and then you'll work your way through the campaign.
Okay.
And there's multiple choices, multiple routes through,
Yeah.
with other loyalty missions that you can play as well. So you could just play 3, but you could potentially play 5 missions in a campaign, and then play it again with a different set of characters with different
It's completely
choices.
different, yeah. And
Right.
how's the character progression? Is there like is that kept from the game? That is you build up your character,
That's right.
and the character evolves.
So we tuned it to the length of a campaign. So there are every character has access to more skills than you can possibly get. So you're going to spend experience that you gain in the middle of it. In the middle of it. And actually there's a cool little tension, like, because there's a total amount of experience to be had, and each character can only upgrade once. So you're going to choose who's going to upgrade and when, right? And you'll be doing it in the middle of the mission, right? Not until the end. So there's so, like, everything about the game is based on tactics and working together, right? And you have to decide a lot of the stuff on the fly, right? Is it Garrus's turn? It's Garrus's turn to upgrade one of his sniper abilities.
Yeah.
You were asking about the skill trees. There are more skills than a player can possibly get in the campaign. So you're going to have to choose, like, how are you going to advance? And sometimes you're going to have to choose who advances first. And sometimes, if it gets really tight, who gets to advance.
Okay. Yeah, so some people might be left behind a little bit, but that's the decision you've got to make in order to get things done. You've got a little sort of a tactical map board type thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the book.
Yeah.
So
There's going to be a book.
Oh, the book.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's double-page
see.
spread. Is a mission.
So it's a nice and easy setup,
Yeah.
and it's a quick setup.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
2 hour setup for but yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of a short campaign with like a beginning, middle, end kind of arc, which is
That's
cool.
exactly right. But you can also just play a single mission. Each mission's about like 30 to 45 minutes.
So you can play it as a standalone scenario and be
Nice-
like, let's just do
Nice
this.
and clippy, but it's not, when we say it's intense. It is not it's not a brainless game by any stretch. Like, this is an intense game you'll be biting your nails at least once or twice in each mission.
Fantastic. Well, yeah. What is the difficulty tuned like? Is it? Are you expected to maybe lose a couple of
hard.
missions first before?
It's hard.
Good.
Because,
I like that. So
you
I'm
can
in
lose
for
a
that.
mission and still continue on. So, like,
You fail
doesn't-
forward.
It doesn't
kind of
stop.
thing.
Yeah, you can fail forward, but it leads you towards a worse ending. Of course,
Okay.
right?
Cool. I love that.
We want to make it hard. We want to make it challenging.
Yeah, I'm in for that. I like a punishing
No,
co-op game.
It's great. And looking, can't say too much, but looking at the size of the mission board, it's not like you're wasting your turns just moving around.
No.
It looks like it's going to be action packed.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, there's intrinsic timers in the game that there's too much to do on any given map. So there's going to be points where you're going to have to abandon a submission, or you're going to have to abandon a attack,
Yeah.
or you're going to have to not farm for experience, or you just lose.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And this is coming to crowdfunding.
No.
It's going straight to retail?
It's going straight to retail.
Amazing.
In the autumn or the fall, if you're listening in America. And there'll be a pre-order on the Modiphius site
Okay.
with some other fun bonuses for collectors. Can't say too much yet.
Okay.
And of course, your local retailers should have it on pre-order as well.
Fantastic. If we were to turn up at Essen, would there be one there? Maybe.
Good question. Yes, I would
Maybe.
imagine the Ansmodee stand would be selling it at Essen.
All right. Okay. Well, that's where we'll be grabbing our copy
Yeah.
most likely.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. And Modiphius, if we're there, we don't know yet.
We're not sure. Okay, 50-50 for that. Okay, fantastic stuff. This is tremendously exciting. Like I said, Mass Effect is one of my favourite IPs of all time. Mass Effect 2, one of my favourite video games ever made. I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. So,
By the way, I
tremendous.
want to say one more thing.
Please.
The writing is excellent. BioWare loved it. And,
Oh, really?
I loved
Nice.
it. So I'm not the writer. Calvin was the writer. So I get to brag on his behalf.
Yeah, props to Calvin.
It's incredible. Like we there's a bunch of new stuff here. This is all new content, and we really captured the voice, the feel, and the vibe and the tone of Mass Effect.
And the characters within it.
Yeah,
well,
and it just feels like you're seeing your beloved characters do cool new things and say cool new things.
I know I've read this somewhere, but for the listeners as well, because I can't remember, where is this set in terms of timeline? If this, like, is it before Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass
You
Effect
better
3?
answer because I don't want to say too much.
Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect 3.
So
at some
it's
point
on
there.
Hagalaz.
Oh, look.
So it's the storm-racked planet. There's a crashed ship.
Yeah.
And you're going in to recover information, tech. Think of it as like Shep's gone, guys, there's one more mission.
One more.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to be my next question. So, are we expecting to play something that is on the game, or is it completely like a new
It's
storyline?
set in the Mass Effect 3 storyline. So you are working towards building up that war preparedness. And that war score is your score for the game that you want to try and beat next time you play.
Love that. So you've got
Right,
integration.
but it is a new mission.
It's a new,
All
it's
new story.
new content. So
It's
for the
not in the original video
exactly,
game.
so for the Mass Effect fan, it's going to be
Yeah.
like a big thing. 'Cause,
Oh God, it was so much fun
we all
coming up
want
with the
to see
missions for this.
Amazing stuff. So we said up to 4 players. You can play a scenario in roughly how long?
But let's say 45 minutes to be like because
Love
the
it.
game is it's 30 minutes of like if you breeze through it, but you're not going to breeze through it. It's
No.
about 45 minutes.
Amazing stuff. Right, Eric, thank you so much for taking us through the very exciting Mass Effect, and thank you, Chris, as well, for taking us through it. We are very excited. We can't wait to show you in more detail. We'll get this cut up and added. We'll add some nice images from the website, and then we'll go from there. When can we actually show this off? Is there when are you going to have some stuff that you can show the world?
We will have imagery probably in the next month to share. Talk to our team.
I will
And,
talk to the team.
yes, you'll get some nice photo images and product shots and things like that. And then we can do more stuff online then.
Amazing.
And
Looking
previews.
forward to it.
Fantastic. Chris, Eric, thank you very much for joining
worries.
us.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.